Welcome, everyone, to MASKast, your favorite mobile armored strike command podcast. Thanks so much for listening and also watching tonight. For the first time ever, we are live streaming our recording session of MASKast tonight up on Google Hangouts. So be on the lookout for an opportunity to watch MASKast now. We'll also be posting tonight's recording session on our YouTube channel, so please subscribe to that. Tonight we're taking a break from our episode reviews of the M.A.S.K animated series for MASKast 45 to talk about the Series 2 toy line. We'll be reviewing all 8 figure and vehicle sets released in 1986 and also give our thoughts on several TV commercials that were aired in conjunction with the toys. If you are listening to the show in podcast form, you might have noticed the extra agents that were selected in the intro. We've definitely got the M.A.S.K A-Team, quote-unquote, on the line tonight, at least the American version. I'll be one of your hosts, Jason, and I'll be playing the part of Bosco, a.k.a. B.A. Baracus, on our A-Team tonight, I guess for my manipulative social skills. Also on the line with us is Wyatt, who by default I guess will have to be our howling mad Murdoch. How are you doing tonight, Wyatt?
I'm howling mad Murdoch!
They don't let you fly in the Air Force, do they?
I'm not allowed, well, unless I'm jumping out of planes or loading cargo, but otherwise that's about it. I'd sure like to take a helo out for a nice spin like Murdoch loved to do, or take a jet or something.
Wouldn't we all? Okay, also joining us tonight is Bill from MattTracker.com, who I would label as the Hannibal of our A-Team, since he was planning M.A.S.K's online presence long before any one of us. So, how you doing tonight, Bill?
My face is a little pale, but I'm okay.
That's great.
Really hot.
Awesome.
I was listening. That was Bill with his Matt Tracker Halloween mask on. That was great. And then also joining us tonight is rounding out our A-Team, Erik from BoulderHill.net, who is definitely the face man of this team for all those handsome toy pictures he puts up on his site and Instagram. How you doing, Erik?
I'm good, and I was gonna say if I didn't get face, we were gonna have a bit of a thing on our hands. So, good choice.
Okay. Well, we've got a lot to cover tonight. We appreciate everybody tuning in live, and also appreciate everybody listening. So we're gonna start it out with a quick news segment that we call "Get Your Mask On." First, we're gonna, since Erik wasn't available to be at our first MASKast chat last weekend when we talked about all the rumors and stuff going on with G.I. Joe and M.A.S.K, I wanted to get his opinion about that and Matt Tracker potentially joining the team for G.I. Joe 3.
Boy, I don't know. I tend to take rumors with a huge grain of salt, especially when it comes to movies. Living in LA, I think I've seen, things that are supposed to happen disappear on so many occasions that I kind of just don't get too into them. They could even film a whole lot of stuff, and then once it hits the editing room, someone will be like, this doesn't work, and then snip, snip, snip. Before you know it, like, all it is some guy with blonde hair walking across a background. So, yeah. But what it means that they're talking about M.A.S.K, that's awesome. Look, this is what everybody who likes M.A.S.K wants. We want something new. It's been 30 years. We're ready for something. And 6 years ago, they teased the heck out of us by releasing Agent Tracker and then doing nothing as a follow-up. So,
there he is, right there.
We're ready for something to show up, I think. I personally would rather see new toys than see him in the movie, but I'll take whatever I can get.
I hear you.
I don't know.
I hear you.
I don't know. I'm very open and receptive to anything, and I keep my hopes low.
Well, you sound a little bit more level-headed, I guess, like me than a couple of these other guys here. But at the same time, we're all hopeful that something's going to happen, and hopefully it will be this weekend, which we're on the eve of the Toy Fair 2015 in New York City. I'm hoping by the end of the weekend we'll get some more news on maybe some 30th anniversary stuff, but and then maybe we'll be right back here next weekend recording another chat about what Hasbro did or didn't release. So we'll keep that in mind. But I'm going to throw this around the room virtually here. I guess on a scale of 1 to 10, let's measure our expectation level that M.A.S.K might be mentioned at Toy Fair. What do you say, Bill? What's your expectation level?
7.5. Is that okay?
That's fine. That's fine.
All right.
Why 7.5?
I wanted to go 8, but then I don't want you guys to think I was crazy, so I'm going to go 7.5.
Is that your hope or your expectation here?
Expectation is 10.
That's off the scale, yeah. What about you, Wyatt?
Yeah, 7.5.
Well, I'm a little lower than Bill. I'm really hoping that we get some kind of nod, so I'm like 5, 50-50. M.A.S.K has to be said somewhere, but I guess I'm just being level at this moment. I don't know what's going to happen right now.
Okay. What about you, Erik?
God, 3. I don't have high hopes for anything.
We keep going downhill. This is not good.
Erik's a realist.
I am.
I don't know. I guess I'm somewhere in the middle. I would probably be 5 or 6. I
think it's 6.
Want to be okay. I'll give you 6.5. I want to be more, but at the same time, if we got just a mention of the name, by somebody there to back up, what we heard over at the Nuremberg Toy Fair, all those rumors.
Checking Twitter right now.
That would put me over 10. So I'm hopeful that we'll get at least a mention that they're planning something. I would highly doubt that they're gonna say anything specific at this point, just because it's probably too early. Like, they just reapplied for the trademark. What was it, November, December? So here it is, February. It's only a couple months. I don't know that they've been planning this, for 6 months or whatever. So
I think the big question comes down to whether or not it's going to be a re-release of the original stuff, or if it's going to be a whole new line. Because if they're just going to do a re-release for 30th anniversary, probably doesn't take a whole lot of prep. They don't need to hire designers, really. They just need to find the old molds if they still have them and throw them back in the factory for a couple months. If they're doing a whole new thing, then there's something to talk about.
I agree. And that's kind of a little bit what we discussed on the chat about, is it easier to just grab the old molds? Do you still have that on file and slap a 30th anniversary logo on the boxes or whatever? But I don't know. It would be fun to see some new stuff too, just outside the action figure realm as well. But anyway, we got a pretty packed show for you tonight. So what do you say we roll on to our main topic tonight?
Let's do it.
Shall we get started?
Ready to go! Hal and Matt here. So let's start. I guess we call this the MASKast, right?
Yeah, sure. We'll start the MASKast. All right. We're going to try to start us off with one of the commercials for Hurricane, Firefly, and Venom's Stinger. So we're going to try to play this for you, and then we'll come back in and throw it around the room. and talk about some of the vehicles. So here goes nothing.
All I saw was your face, Jason. It didn't.
Okay. I don't know if that worked or not. I guess we will see. But
I don't think so.
I heard it. Okay, so I guess
I
that's
heard it, but I didn't see it.
I heard a couple
okay.
of beeps, and that's all I heard.
Well, I let it play through. We'll see if it'll come up or if I'll have to edit in post or whatever. But anyway, the commercial was for Firefly, Hurricane, and Stinger, and the Series 2 toy line actually has 8 vehicles in all. We're going to first talk about Firefly. I guess let's throw it over to Bill first. How about that, since you've got the entire collection in triplicate behind you?
Let me here. I'm going to put
talk to us about Firefly.
All right. So, hold on a second.
He's got to go get Julio.
I've got him there.
I'm going to unmute myself.
You were never muted.
It's muted here. All right. Sorry. I'll get the stuff in between other people talking. So, as a toy itself, this was one of my favorite vehicles growing up. Just because of the simplicity of it, and it kind of could fly, I guess, with the Thunderhawk. When it changes here, so it gets its little transformation here, and it's one of the easier ones to do. There wasn't a lot to do with it, but the simplicity of it, I think, really worked for it. And Julio, I never had any problems with him. There he is. Doctor by day, and apparently he doesn't make enough money being a doctor to sit around and do nothing. So he goes
pediatrician.
Sorry.
There you go.
And he has to go out and fight crime. Just give an interesting side note with this. I talked about it, I think, before, maybe in one of our old MASKasts. My dad was mad at something one day. He threw this across the room. He wasn't mad at me, but he was mad. I don't remember why. And it broke off one of the wings. And at the time, this was my favorite one, even more than Thunder. So he felt so bad that he was able to fix it. Let's see if I can get it in camera here. If you see this spot here, this is where it popped out. So he was able to just take a normal screw, put it right through that, and the mechanism and the changing just stuck. So never really lost it. And he said he was sorry. He mean it, and he fixed it. So yeah, this is definitely one of my favorites in the line, hands down.
What say you, Eric?
Well, I do enjoy the vehicle, but I got a couple of gripes with it. Maybe Bill will be good enough to hold it up since I can't show it off. But the two things that bother me about Firefly is, one, the front panel that you open up. That plastic was real prone to getting weak and worn out and breaking off.
Yeah.
And then the other one is that when you flip out the wings, the front axle actually becomes two little cannons, and those cannons were real easy to snag when you were closing up, and then you get these bent, real bad looking cannons, and then they could just break off.
Yeah, I have one here.
Yeah, I've got two Fireflies, and one of them looks exactly as I'm describing with damn it, yeah. And there, yeah, exactly, there it is. So I really liked Firefly, but I always hated that it tended to be one of the less robust and a little more fragile of the vehicles. And I like Julio Lopez's design, except for the part where they picked that pistachio green mustard color. I was like, man, everyone else has these awesome, cool color combos, and he just really got the leftovers in the barrel.
Yeah.
Well, if he's playing a doctor by day, this might be puke stain by night.
Oh, man.
There you go. Nice.
I guess that's all I've got to say. Wyatt, you want to take over?
Sure. Well, I can't speak about personal experience on Firefly. I don't have one in my collection. It was one of the very few. Actually, I've only had, short of what Jason's been giving me here last year or two, my only mask toy I ever owned was Condor. I would consider him the mask freak, so to speak, when we were growing up. But
Condor's the best, so don't worry.
that's right. So, nonetheless, speaking on Firefly alone, it looks like a cool car, to be honest. Cool little jet. I would have to side with you, Eric, about the puke green suit. I don't know what they were thinking, or if someone saw runny snot that day and thought, hey, that's a cool color, let's try it. Otherwise...
Yeah, but he's got orange in it, though.
Yeah, I'm looking at the box art right now, and it's actually a pretty decent showing of how it works. You got the laser shooting out of the wing cannons, the axle cannons, like you described, Eric. If they are like as you described, though, I could see why they could be easily bent and/or snapped off. If you're any kind of kid like myself who like to beat up cars and test them out. The kid-friendly way, but otherwise, yeah, I think it's actually a cool car. I would almost favor it alongside maybe wanting to possess Thunderhawk, in my mind. What say you, Jason?
It's okay. It wasn't one that I owned as a kid. I hear what they're saying about these little orange guns in the front too. Like when you open it up, those are prone to get bent up and stuff as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The front mechanism it will get worn, and I've seen many a Firefly with those little side cannons right here that get tore up and bent when you put it back inside. One thing interesting about the one that I bought, and it comes with this bomb that goes right in the bottom, and it's actuated by these little buttons that are up here that you pull backwards, and it falls out like it just did.
Yep.
The one that I bought, they didn't say it came with it, and I looked up inside there and I saw one, and it was like jammed way up in there.
Oh
So
yeah, that wasn't uncommon.
I got out my tweezers, and there was actually the bomb that goes to Firefly and a Thunderhawk bomb.
Nice.
In there.
Wow.
So I actually needed another one, so that was quite fortunate. But it's very cool. I do like the colors and the design and the stickers, decals. It does really show off more of the vehicle than the figure. Maybe that's why he's just tan and puke, colors. But it's a pretty cool one out of there. It's not my favorite, but we'll move on to the next one. Let's go into, speaking of favorites, Hurricane.
Yes.
Let's start with you on this one.
Oh man, Hurricane had to be one of my favorites as a kid. I mean, it's really hard for me to pick a favorite past like Condor, which is my favorite always, but Hurricane was so cool as a kid. I mean, I didn't really know that it was a Bel Air when I was like 5 or whatever, but I mean, it's a great looking car. The flames were ridiculous. The funny thing is that it's actually probably got one of the weaker transformations compared to some of the other vehicles in terms of how much it changes, but it just looks so cool. And Yeah, I mean, it was amazing. To talk about little gripes, the spare wheel missile from the back, that thing is often damaged and or lost. And this was one of the few vehicles, or not one of the few, but this was one of the vehicles that was also really prone to chrome damage, unfortunately. So if you've got a Hurricane with nice chrome, then you're lucky. Especially the headlights, because you're as a kid you got to pull them in and pull them out and push them back in for the transformation. And the chrome on the front just would go. So.
Okay, Wyatt?
Well, it was one of my favorite toys to play with whenever I would come up and hang out with you, if I remember right. I thought it was one of the cooler ones. I thought it was a mean buggy. You have that 6-wheel tank-like structure with it. Being at this age, I can see how easily things could have been damaged, or you could be easily frustrated. If I remember right, Jason, yours, like Erik described, you had to manually pull the headlights out and put them back in to make them function correctly. Otherwise, I enjoy that buggy. I'm like you, Erik. There's not really too many bad toys that I didn't want. But Condor's all I had at the time, so I won't say I was envious of Jason, but I'm like, dude, can I play like every day? So.
Well, the benefits of being an only child, let me tell you,
I know,
are endless. This is pretty special to me as far as my collection goes. This is the only one that's original that I had when I was a kid. So
it's in nice shape.
It's in pretty good shape. The chrome has lasted, and the turret. This was the greatest feature about this, was being able to turn the turret wherever you wanted to.
Yeah.
Once in a while, the cannon would get stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Tap it to get it out or whatever, and then the spare tire that shoots. I'm gonna shoot it right at the camera. I'll probably shoot it over.
Don't do it. No.
Oh.
And then this awesome saw blade that comes out the back too. I used that many a times on some Venom vehicles. Let me tell you.
Millimeters.
But yeah, I mean, this is. Other than Thunderhawk, this is probably a close second to my favorite in the entire, M.A.S.K collection. And this color scheme of Honda is just 80s. The purple and the yellow. I was a Lakers fan too, so that helped. But
if I can interrupt you, what he always reminded me of was in the original Charlie and the Chocolate Factory movie, the everlasting gobstopper he gets at the end. I always thought Hondo in this outfit looked like the candy. It was this lumpy, bright, multicolored nonsense. And then, of course, as we've talked about, or you guys have talked about, you never ever see that outfit in the show.
Yeah. You see the helmet, you see the mask, but...
Sure, you see the mask plenty.
But you just don't get that color scheme, which, with the orange and yellow flames on this baby, I think it matched it perfectly. I actually got this for my birthday. It probably would have been in '86, November of '86. It was the first M.A.S.K vehicle that I had, and I think it was actually my aunt that bought it for me. But I know my dad was impressed because my dad is a huge classic car buff, and being a '57 Chevy, he was probably wanting to play with it as much as I was. But,
he did secretly.
We'll kick it over to Bill. What do you say about Hurricane, Bill?
Well, nothing else that you guys can really say about it. It's obviously one of the better toys, vehicles. I mean, like Erik said, the transformation's a little, blah, but when it gets there, it's pretty cool. And just the outside design of it, the way it was built, if the chrome still holds up, mine's pretty good. it looks like a really good piece. My biggest problem was the uniform. You were just saying, I don't understand this at all. This wasn't. I looked through some of the comics. And I don't even think I saw this in the comics. Maybe I didn't see all the comics, but I was just trying to figure out where it was. And then on eBay a little while ago, this was a couple of years, somebody was selling this. Somebody did a custom job to make the mask look like it actually does in the cartoon.
I'm trying to see what's different. Is it the spikes?
Take it off. It's the color. It might be hard to see through the camera. Up here. There you go.
Oh, you got both of them. Oh, it's
Okay.
a bit brighter?
It's like a brighter blue that matched a lighter blue that matched the one in the show. And then this
Less turquoise.
Yeah, this one over here is turquoise, and then this one here. I'm using my middle finger. I'm sorry. And this one here, so you can see it kind of matches the show mark.
And they got that little yellow piece in the front there on those two little. I guess those are the blasters or whatever.
So, I mean, it's custom made. I don't remember who did it, but usually when I'm displaying Hurricane, I usually have this guy behind somewhere, like hanging out, and I usually display this guy with it. Have it, when I'm taking pictures or something with it.
It's pretty accurate.
Site. So I just always hated this thing.
Yeah.
It's terrible. I don't know, but everything else about it's great. The figure's terrible.
Okay. Well, I guess one thing I wanted to do, but we didn't get a chance to see the commercial, all of us, but let's talk just for a minute about the commercials and how they use this faux live action, and then they shoot the cars, out of this garage almost, and then you see the kids playing with it, afterwards. Who are we up to? We start with Wyatt.
Yeah.
What do you think about those commercials that they did back then? And
I love those commercials because I was always wondering how they got a hold of one of those legit cars. I'm sure they were all models and they were all camera angles like
right.
I can imagine nowadays, but at the time I'm like, where do they sell a Thunderhawk? Like, we were kids as Knight Rider. Where do they sell a Trans Am kit somewhere? But anyway, I love those commercials. I caught a glimpse of was it Volcano the
van.
The van, yeah. It looks so cardboard-like to me. I'm like, okay, now it makes sense. But yeah, I like the commercials even now. I still enjoy that.
Cool. I think they're just such a draw. I mean, you watch the cartoon, but then you see one of them has a guy that's Hondo, and he's got that mask under his arm, and he's talking to somebody, and they at least got the details, most of the details right on the toys that they're advertising. Each one, you see the gun come into the windshield on Hurricane, and I mean, they're just fun. They're just fun. I think that's what they were using. Somebody made that faux Mask movie trailer that's been up on YouTube for years, and they used some of that footage, which made it actually pretty cool. But I love the commercials. Over to you, Bill.
I'm watching it here again. He's wearing the stupid outfit, and they're skin-tight pants in the commercial. How's that effective? But I will admit, when seeing these commercials, right, I see the cars. I see, it looks like Dusty's talking to Hondo. Then I see them go out of that, and then I didn't have control of them when I was 5 or whatever. It made a lot of sense. It's brilliant marketing. You don't really see it much like that anymore. Just watching it go through. They didn't really show Stinger that much, but bad guy. Who cares? So, but yeah, like just watching the beginning and yeah, the skin tight pants, the skin tight purple pants really turned me off there. I'm sorry.
All right, Eric.
Well, watching these commercials now, I'm like, oh man, these sure do look dated. But two things jumped out at me. One, I really liked their masks that the live action actors had, and just like you saw Hondo's Blaster 2 mask. I was just thinking like that thing's really cool. I really want to go find the studio that made the commercial, and maybe borrow it. And then the thing that struck me, that has always struck me and stayed with me since the kid, is I want a mask watch. Darn it! Like,
Exactly.
and I'm hoping with these I'm so tempted to buy that stupid iWatch just so that maybe I can make my own mask watch finally.
Somebody did make one. It's around somewhere.
Yeah, someone did, and didn't we post something like that, Jason?
We did, yeah.
But I want one that does stuff. I want video screen and I don't know.
Uplink with the mass computer.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Or AKA iTunes at this point, but that's okay. So that was the thing that really jumped at me, was the masks and the watch. But they were fun commercials for sure.
Yeah, well, at least they used the right sound effect for the frickin' watch. We've been going through these episodes, and they change the sound effect like every episode, and they've got the one that they used, from the beginning up and through, the first dozen episodes or whatever.
Right.
That we're used to. But that's another thing. I was like, when watching these again, I'm like, use that effect in the show. Anyway, all right. Well, we've got another one that was from that first commercial with the stinger, and if you'll remember this one, this is the Venom vehicle. There it is, the Pontiac GTO that converted into a tank and was driven by Bruno Shepard. I guess we're up to me to start. This was not one that I had as a kid. I think what I like the most about this is that little touch of chrome. And I'm going to convert it here. You've got these smokestacks guns that come up from the side. You got this huge engine. I don't know if that's supposed to be something or whatever. It's nice and chrome. The chrome grille and the bumper in the back is also chrome. Really like those little accents. Of course, how many vehicles in the M.A.S.K collection is orange? There's a lot of orange. So yeah. I liked somebody posted up a custom one that was like bright blue, almost like hurricane blue, which was interesting. But it had some really cool features. Let me get the stuff out of the trunk here. You've got this claw comes out of the trunk, and then you've got this like mortar cannon that sticks into the windshield right above the cage there that protects the windshield. And who doesn't like a T-top? I like it. It's cool. These little guns that come up from the wheels, though, I don't know, those are a little bit weird. There goes my exhaust pipe again. But I don't know.
They did those on like everything. Raven had them, I think.
Yeah, same. I think the same wheels as Raven. I don't know if any of the other vehicles had it, but those were just kind of weird to me, and not having like a clean wheel when it's converted back, it just looks weird when you're rolling it around. But it's a cool concept. A car that's a tank. I mean, come on. They made it happen. They used somewhat of a classic car, muscle car, to do it. What say you, Bill?
Well, this one I had. I liked it a lot, but when the trunk became empty like mine is now, and it didn't have a little hook, I didn't like it as much. So I'd probably let my brother use it.
Blame it on your brother.
Well, I let him use it. Let me say did. I really like the tank concept, though. One of my favorite parts was when the front would flip up and shield, but then have this like tank option, like this thing will come over the top of it, and the windshield to make it more of a tank. Even though you still got all this top up here, you just drop anything in there that you want. But the premise of it, I really like it, and I think if some of the parts had a little bit more longevity with this one for me seemed like it broke easily. I don't know if it's just me or not. The chrome pieces on it, especially this thing, you probably find it missing a lot from ones that you buy online.
Or the tabs are broken.
Yeah, the tabs especially too at the bottom where you can't put it back together. So yeah, I mean, for the most part, I really like the concept of it. Bruno, he was a weird character. He, of course, becomes famous for being in the racing arena later, but he's a muscle-bound goon. That's what he is.
He's got a wicked, chain tattoo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right there.
You think that's a sleeve, or what is that? You think it's a temporary tattoo? What is that?
No.
But he was. I think I liked the figure more than I liked the car in this instance. Just because it's all really like it's not all black. Like these bad guys, not all black colors. It's got a little color pop to him. Sorry, I'm not focused there. And the orange helmet accenting the purple elements of it. It was always something I liked in this one.
Okay, Erik.
Well, I will agree that I really like the figure. I mean, he's got a face that only a mother could love, and maybe not even then. Looking back in retrospect, the fact that the character has tattoos is pretty crazy for a kid's cartoon. Back then, that wasn't really something you would see. So that's a little surprising looking back now. One of the things that I remember always loving is, despite the fact that hood piece that kind of becomes the front of the windshield is really delicate, the actual undercarriage that releases the wheels to pop out into the treads, that's got to be the most durable, resilient piece of mask technology in every season. And the thunk it makes when you release it is so satisfying. And I remember as a kid, I would just open it and close it just to hear that clack when it would just pop open. There it is. Yeah, it's just. I will completely echo Bill's comment about once you lose the claw out of the back, man, it's a bummer, and it's real tough. But I always enjoyed that vehicle. It was definitely a cool one to have, and some of the vehicles from Venom didn't always feel as combat ready. Pit stop catapult. So Stinger was always a good one to run up against the other guys. It was just a big beefy car. I think that's most of my thoughts on that one.
Mr. Wyatt.
Well, again, I'll have to defer to the experts that actually have these toys in their hand. But
Isn't it making you jealous, Wyatt? They
it's
keep getting
very
to play
jealous.
with them.
I know. I want to. I just want to. Too bad I don't live next to Jason or something. I'm closer to you, I think, actually. But anyway, I like the looks of this. This is a mean car, a mean tank, really. I remember watching it. I think it was at the cartoon, or maybe it was the toy box art. It reminded me slightly of the old, if you remember, the old Little Red Expresses, the Dodge Little Red Express back in the late 70s, when they had the smokestacks here. I know that's kind of off topic, but that just, to me, I like that smokestack there. I like the guns. Uh, I must agree with you and Jason there that when Jason transformed it, that little thunk, you know that it sounded like it was actually ready for battle, or it was actually a solid toy to actually actually deal with kids our age to basically beat it up. Uh, I can see where you're fascinated with the grappling hook. That's pretty cool, but I can also see where you'd be disappointed once you lose it. What's the point of having a trunk? You're not going to go get groceries for this thing. Well, of course, it may be for Bruno's gym equipment. Who knows? But nonetheless, that's a mean buggy. Yeah, I'm envious. What can I say? I
Would have
will.
been nice. It would have been nice if you could actually fit a whole figure in the trunk. That would have helped a little bit, but
I don't know if they
that'd
want
be-
to encourage that.
Yeah, exactly.
little jail back there. A couple other things too that just came to mind on my experience, at least when I was a mask retailer. That little metal rod that goes through the bottom there, if you've got somebody that has, played with this outside when they were younger and it sit around for a while,
Yeah.
it will rust.
Yep.
So I've seen that middle piece get rusty. And one thing I will say about Stinger, it's got maybe the coolest entrance to the animated series out of them all. And I went over this in one of the articles I posted up on our website, that it would have been cool to have that whole scorpion shell that it showed in the animated series, where it kind of opens up and then rolls out from that shell. Would have been awesome to have that, or maybe another version of it that came with the shell. Pay a few more bucks to get that. But I thought that was really cool. I think it is called something Scorpion episode. I don't think it's in this stretch, Wyatt. I think it's in the 40s.
Yeah, I think it is.
It's a really cool moment. I actually made a GIF image out of that transformation when you first see the car roll out of that scorpion shell for the first time. Really cool moment in the series.
Maybe that's something somebody with a 3D printer and some modeling skills will be able to do one day.
There you go.
Idea.
You need Shark first.
All right. Well, we are going to virtually watch the next commercial, since we pretty much haven't had any.
Jason, the last
I didn't even look see it yet. Yeah.
Your video stayed up, like your feed stayed up. So I don't know if that was the reason why it didn't show.
Well, we'll just say which one's coming up, and I'll play it during the podcast itself. But the next commercial is for Volcano and Outlaw, which are two vehicles that actually came with two figures. One, Volcano, is the only, well, I guess you would say that the Laser Command had batteries, it was battery operated, but it was it's movable with
Motorized,
thank you, with I think a couple C batteries. And then of course Outlaw is a semi base or playset, I guess you would say, for Venom, that we essentially never got to rival Boulder Hill. But we're going to first talk about Volcano, and I think, Bill, it's your turn to go first.
Well, while I'm not a fan of it being about 7 pounds. This was fun because you could stick it on your pets, on your brother. I mean, mine still runs. Let's see here.
The last time I checked it, mine still runs too. Wow.
Yeah, it sounds lovely. And this thing actually got going pretty well, I thought. My mechanism's a little broken inside mine, so when I do the transformation, I'll leave that to Jason. My turret gets a little stuck.
Now that's a funk, baby.
You know, I mean, it's kind of like an uninspired transformation, I think. My favorite part about this was the motorized components of it. Well, also too that it came with another version of Matt Tracker. And this guy, Jacques Lafleur. And the figures themselves, if you're looking at the turret there, the turret's pretty cool. The gun, if it comes out, it's hard to tell which way it goes back on from what I've remembered. And you're always missing that little like roller coaster part in there. It's like a black piece that holds the figure in, so it doesn't fly out of there. So if you put it in there, if you put the figure in there and then shoot it out, it should fly out. If you want to do that, if you have a Scott Tracker figure, if you want to do that with. But I always remembered had this thing chasing something around, and the fact that it came with another Matt Tracker figure was always a favorite of mine. The lava mask and the figure, I had a problem with this one because of the difference in the mask color as opposed to the red on his body. I don't know. I'm guessing this is on purpose. It's like almost like a pinkish purple color, and then you have red for his costume. I always thought it should be the same color. That was just me. But again, it's a little gripe, I guess. And Jacques, his costume, it looks like a lumberjack. They captured it completely. I have no problem with his costume at all, and his representation as a figure.
Okay, Eric, over to you.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you remove the motorized feature from it, you realize real quick that it's a pretty uninspired vehicle. When you consider, like, just looking back at Stinger that we just looked at, like, there's really not much going on with Volcano, and that's because 40% of it is taken up by this little motor that just makes the turret spin around. But as a kid, I know that Volcano was nuts to me because it was like it moves on its own. It moves on its own. Like that had to be so important. And yes, it does take those wonderful, glorious C batteries. And not only that, you have to screw them in.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that not only was it difficult to get C batteries, you had to then get a screwdriver and do minor repair work basically. But I'm actually going to disagree with.
Oh, I still got batteries in mine. I'm sorry.
What you said, Bill, about the figure. I actually always loved Matt and his lava shot, and I didn't really. I guess the color difference didn't really bother me, but I don't know. It's one of the few figures that that the design of the character is asymmetrical. Most of them are just mirror from left to right, but like in this one, Matt's got that crazy weird arm computer thing on his. I think it's his right arm. I don't know. One of you guys has the figures. You can show it off again.
Yeah, it's his right arm.
Yeah, and for some reason I thought the short sleeves were like he's serious. Like this is the one where he's going out. Like he's gonna handle some business, and he's not in his like preppy flight suit. He's in his get things done, beat 'em up, whatever's going to happen. And there's something a little mean about the look of the mask of Lava Shot to me. It always kind of looked like a fox or a wolf. And I don't know. It always really appealed to me. I actually think Jacques kind of boring, but
Yeah, I mean, the design of the mask never got me. It's just the color.
yeah, okay, I can see it. I mean, I can understand why it would bug you.
That's the only thing. Like you were saying, his costume, it's completely different too. It's not, it's not just using the Spectrum body again, or like you said, or so you get a good variety.
Yeah. Wyatt?
Yeah, I'll have to side with you guys on how, in layman's terms, how lame the toy seems to be, especially as an adult. It's very simple, but yet as a child you'd be captivated by the motorized function of it. I'll take your word on it that it has to be cumbersome to deal with all that, the C batteries, and like you said, C batteries were almost a rarity to get a hold of, let alone AA's back when you were a kid. Looking more at the artwork of the box, I'm looking at the figures. I'm like you, Eric. I like the seriousness of Matt Tracker. It looks like he is going to go out. This is his last stance. He's going to go out fighting. But I'll have to side with you on this, Bill. I think, what's his name?
Jacques?
Jock with the lumberjack. I mean, dude, if you're gonna suit him up like this, at least give him an axe and make him look the part. It looks kind of corny, and maybe they were just kind of whipping something up for this 2 action figure set. But aside from it being motorized, I would probably put this in my least wanted pile.
Yeah.
I have an extra one I can send it to you.
Hey, I'll take anything for free.
It's only like $80 to ship it too.
Oh,
Oh, God.
there's the
Take the batteries out first, Bill.
Yeah, it's still got some heft to it.
Well, once upon a time, I had the Matt Tracker figure. I'm not sure where it went to. I'm with you, Bill. I don't like the mismatch almost color. And then the Jock figure, what's the name of the mask for him?
Mirage with a J.
Yeah.
It looks like
Instead
a
of a
freaking
GE.
insect. Yeah, it looks like an insect. I don't know. It's weird. Almost like a hyped up gas mask, and it does mirages. Okay. And why is he purple? What lumberjack do you know wears purple?
Well, he's French.
Oh, okay, that explains it. Anyway, yeah, I think the best thing about Volcano is this awesome logo on the side of the vehicle itself. It looks like
you didn't have to apply.
Right. It looks like one of those old school '80s don't go near vans that would drive by with some crazy looking decal scheme on the side. But yeah, I mean, the one thing I will mention is my sunroof actually broke. I still have it, but one of the tabs broke on that. So that's one thing to be looking for if you're going to look to get one of these, that your sunroof is intact. And like Wyatt said, there's just not much else it transforms. There's 2 little guns that come out the front, and then you got your little exhaust guns that fold down or whatever.
It's very menacing.
It's massive. In the concept, it looks like the back rear doors open, but it actually doesn't on the toy. So I'm not sure what happened there in that design. But anyway, let's go on to the next one, which is Outlaw. And I think we are starting with Erik on that one.
Okay. So Outlaw is weird for me because Outlaw is the first one we're now talking about that I didn't actually have as a kid. So I don't have memories, and I never saw it as a kid even. Like, I didn't have a friend with it. I didn't have it. I don't know. I wasn't even aware of it somehow. And I relatively recently acquired Outlaw, last like 1 or 2 years. Managed to get my hands on it. And as you said, Jason, it is sort of it's like the poor man's headquarters for Venom. They're like, well, we don't have a mountain base like Boulder Hill, so what are we gonna do? That being said, I think it's really a great toy, and it is a great mini playset. Though I think maybe as a kid I might have not been as into it as I am now because it's not as actiony and combat-y. And those aren't really. I mean, I'm like adding E to the end, but it's not a combat vehicle. Like when you transform it, it stops moving. You pull out computers and things like that. The one thing in there though and Bill was teasing it a second ago is that rocket launcher is a beast, and you can take. That's one of the reasons I don't think they'll reissue a lot of M.A.S.K toys because no parent would ever want their kid to be like, "Look what I got, Mom," and launch a big old hard plastic missile halfway across the room and hit him in the eye. Yeah.
Let's see how far we can get it.
Oh man, you got to be able to get a good 2 or 3.
We're gonna have an outlaw contest here. See how far our missile can go.
I imagine that Outlaw was easy to lose pieces to. Oh wow, nice.
Man.
I'll wait till Eric's done talking.
Sorry. Yeah, I imagine that with all the little bits and pieces, it was easy to lose parts of Outlaw, but not having it as a kid, I never ran into that. Real quickly, I want to touch on the figures. I think that the look of Miles with Python is awesome. I really like the way they used the tan and the light blue and then the touches of purple. And once again, we get some orange on his visor there, which, like you said, M.A.S.K loves its orange for whatever reason. And then I also like, who is it? With Gulliver. Nash Gory with Gulliver. Yeah.
Nash Gory is
Powerhouse.
Powerhouse.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Powerhouse. One of the things that I always notice is that if you look at his arms, they have this weird, curve to them that no other figure has.
It's the Hulk Hogan pose.
There you go.
It's the flex. It's the weird tight flex. And for whatever reason, I always thought that was a little funny. But overall, I really like the look of his figure too. I don't have any complaints about that. One thing.
Not to interrupt, but the pose you do with him when he does that, it's like the little wormy guy from GoldenEye that says, "I am invincible."
Alan Cumming playing.
He's got that same kind of look. Sorry, go ahead.
The one thing I will say is that when I initially got my Outlaw, it was packaged with Miles' Python mask, but the body was actually off of, was it Ripper? Where he's just in a gray, he's just in a beige repaint of, he's just in a beige repaint of his normal Viper suit.
Mm-hmm.
And I've actually seen that in a lot of auctions that are selling Outlaw. So, like a buyer beware kind of thing, be careful that, Miles needs a little more color if he's coming with your Outlaw. He's got that purple and blue, and so... Anyway, I think I've talked myself out. I don't know who wants to jump on this next.
Tracker. Go ahead, Wyatt.
Well, I have to defer to you guys because you got the hands-on with everybody, including the action figures. I think Bill was demonstrating that it can hit the other side of the room, or at least knock out He-Man, one of the two. But it looks to be something they could use to torment cats with, and I have too, so I'd have great fun with that guy. Aside from that, I'm like you. That base is like immobile. It's meant to be once it transforms, that's it. you're standing your ground, or you're hoping you can collapse it to take off for the next mission or to run away from M.A.S.K. It looks like I would be wanting one of these. Wanting one of these guys in my collection, just because it's a cool small HQ that Venom could use. I'm trying to see the figure again. I like Miles's suit. I'm not so sure I like his mask. But like you said, there's an orange theme going on. I'm siding that they want to copy the General Lee, but that's just my own interpretation. Yeah, I think that's like a funky helmet there. I'm looking at Jason's screenshot. Unless it's easy bake oven window, I don't know what that's for.
That's funny.
As far as Nash, yeah, it looks like I gotta laugh with your guys' interpretation of the arms going there. I don't know what he was trying to achieve or what the artists were trying to achieve when they molded him, but yeah, I think I wouldn't want to add him to my collection. I'll just say that.
I am a real American. I can hear the song. It just looks like Logan.
You're up, Jason.
Okay. I do remember Wyatt, our mutual friend, had this.
Did he? I don't remember him having this.
And that was the first time I got my hands on it. And it is, I guess, to bounce off what Erik said, kind of clunky. And you're not, having these battles around the house with it. It's basically you set it up and you start launching this huge thing at something. It does have the cool feature where the front end pops up, so you can get some mobility out of that, and it can turn, and you get this crazy, grappling gun on the front that you can actually move out and shoot. Boom. So that was always pretty cool. Anything that had like a grappling or a claw or something, I was all about. Like the stinger claw, you use that to grab onto a figure or something. And this, I think, even in commercial, it shows them pulling, one of the other vehicles with this little grappling claw. So that was pretty cool. They could both set up front. What got me was the huge, elevator tower they got to climb to get up to this little command center here part. Mine doesn't have the sticker. The one I have, maybe Bill's has the sticker for all the computer stuff. It's got a little platform, where you peg to put the figures in there and stand them up so pretend they're, working on the computer. But, you also had this cool section down here. If I can turn this without knocking everything over. You had this weird, radar thing that you can put in there and spin. And then you have these little. This is where the little hose goes on the front. You got this little guy. It was cool that you could open it up and then add kind of stuff to it. And then on this side is where you put Nash or one of the other figures in here. You set him down, and then he's working on this little computer here. So it is more of a base. It's not more of one of the more mobile toys. In the line, in these little radar dishes you can put up here, satellite dishes or whatever. But it is very cool to own. Like I said, you want to make sure it's got its stickers and stuff in there. The logo, the snake oil logo on the side is just awesome. I think that might be my favorite part of the vehicle. To look at the logo on top, but one thing from a collecting standpoint, if you're going to go out and get one of these, I've seen many that the front, I don't even have the stickers on the cab either, but the front piece, I've seen many of these grills come off, and there's little hinges down here that like to get broken as well. when you move it forward, that's usually what goes on this thing first. So just be aware of that. But,
Yeah, I'm glad I got it as an adult because it did not strike me as being especially robust.
yeah, love the chrome on the wheels too. I mean, that's really cool. That looks like a rig, back in the day. They got the big chrome wheels. And I'm not sure what these are on the roof, but they look cool, with the tanker. So, Bill?
Well, if I can interject that
Yeah,
what
go
those
ahead.
are, if that is supposed to be an actual fuel tanker truck, that's where you could fill the fuel or heating oil from the top. Back in the day, that's how you filled the tanker trailers or trucks like that.
Gotcha. Who did we start with? We start with Erik?
Yes.
Okay. We'll kick it over to Bill once he's done vacuuming there. What is that noise? I keep hearing like this vacuum noise.
I don't know.
I will one other thing I will say to agree with Wyatt is there's been many times when I've had all my figures together and masks will fall off and stuff, and I'm looking for Miles' mask for this guy, and it just doesn't look like it goes with it. Me, and I'm be like, oh wait, no, this one does go with it. So it is kind of one of those weird looking masks. Which one was this called?
Python.
Python. Do we remember what that did in the show?
Probably the same thing as Viper.
Did it? Okay. But yeah, it looks more like the other one that actually goes with the all tin Miles figure. But Bill, what did you have to add?
We can't have much any more than what you guys already covered. One thing I always have problems with the one I have here is the actual one from my childhood. So I don't know if it's just
You had this as a kid, then?
I can't. This thing never opened. No matter what buttons I hit, it just doesn't go. it just stays there. So I can never have the enjoyment of shooting the graphic unless I shoot it straight in the air. I tried fixing it, but there's not much I can do with it. I had another one. It wasn't in good of a shape, so I tried to keep that one. I can't open it up and grapple people and all that fun stuff. But everything else you guys said, I completely agree with. The rocket launcher, luckily they were rubber tipped, otherwise my brother would be dead by now. But other than that, like in that M.A.S.K video, I had my niece and nephew playing with it, and they're shooting each other with it, and they were having a ton of fun. They never played with them before. So, yeah, I think it has a lot of replay value, but it's not. It doesn't hold up. There's too many moving parts that can break on it.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Definitely agree. And you do want to do your homework on the parts there too if you're trying to get a complete one, because it is very rare to find one with all of the little hoses and the radar ditches.
The radar is hard to find.
So make sure you're going to do that if you're going to collect that. And we'll go on to our next commercial, which will feature Firefly, Firecracker, and Vampire. Now, I thought that was kind of odd that they threw Firecracker in with these two. I'm not sure why they did that. Why wouldn't they just put in another one of the vehicles from this series? They featured that in there, but we obviously already reviewed Firecracker, so let's move on to Vampire, our motorcycle. Excuse me, with Mr. Floyd Malloy. Wyatt, you want to take this one away?
Yeah, I'm looking at the the box art, and I'm sure I do see you popping up on the screen now. I'm gonna comment on the character first because I just zoomed in on him right away. This looks like one of those punk kids, like on Christmas Story. The guy that's always trying to beat up on the other kid. That's the face that guy looks like. He belongs in Venom right there. The mask, if I'm looking right, looks like they tried to copy T-Bob or maybe R2-D2. I'm not sure where they were going with that, but that's what that looks like. The motorbike or the vampire, that looks freaking awesome. I would say I would rather want one of those than Condor, as much as I am a helicopter person.
No.
Yeah, I like this guy. This is pretty cool. I don't like that they call this a touring cycle. You got the saddlebags on either side, but dude, that's sheer genius right there to just take off and go. I like though how the wings look like they fold out.
Yeah.
To expand, obviously. That's a mean crotch rocket right there. That'd be cool. But I'll tell you, it's hard to give up the helicopter. If this were the real thing, by the way. How about you, Jay?
I would side with Eric that I would prefer Condor over this. Just
Yes.
for the fact that you could spin the helicopter
blades.
But Vampire is still great. It's got a great color scheme. The red, really stands out. You've got this got an awesome Venom logo that's on there on the wings, and I believe the stickers came along, so you had to put the stickers on yourself. And then you got this awesome gun in the front that moves, wherever you need to shoot somebody. Really enjoyed just the overall look of this is really cool, and the chrome is a nice touch too, on the wheels and on the sides for the exhaust. Really nice. Couple things to keep in mind. This was one of the first ones that I was trying to get when I started really collecting, and I forgot it had a windshield. And you'll see a lot of them out there on eBay that does not have that windshield on there. So make sure when you buy it, you're checking for that. And then most of them as well do not have the black missiles that are basically manual missiles that you shoot off just like that.
They don't shoot, they fall.
Well, pretty much. But if you've got a snug one, when you put them in there, that you push on the back, they will shoot out. But you're right, Eric. It's essentially just all tabs in a manual process when you're shooting the missiles. But and then the character is very interesting. I remember we haven't caught to an episode with Floyd yet, but he's got that weaselly kind of laugh, and it's just an interesting figure. It's got this. Do we know what that thing is on his shoulder?
It's a gun or a cannon or the flamethrower or something, right? It attacks, I think. Okay.
It's interesting that that's on there, and they had to design the mask like around it almost. But the best part of this figure, his hair, his crazy hair pokes through the top. I thought that was just brilliant. That you would make a dude with this like Billy Idol look on his face, and he put on his mask and his hair pokes through. That's just crazy. Oh, very cool figure. Over to you, Bill.
Not one of my favorites, but I do like your Billy Idol reference. If I'm going to take a preference of a flying motorcycle, I'm going to probably go with
Condor, pick Condor.
Yeah, but that's not to say. I mean, this one has its moments, but as Jason was saying, so many of these parts are like hard to come by. From what I remember, the windshield was never there. The wings would always be broken off here. There would never be missiles, and a lot of times the mechanism to switch it was stuck.
Yes. Yes.
So and people were still selling it, and plus it was always weird to put it back together. Like you had to know to get that in, whatever. But it's. I mean, I like the engineering of it. It's just not. Like, I was never a fan of like the smaller bikes. I always liked the cars. Condor's Condor, But I don't know what it was about this that I didn't really gravitate toward. I knew I had it when I was younger. I had the box over there with some great artwork there by Mr. Lance Anderson. But yeah, I mean, it's just not one of my favorites. The character, I love the character in the show, and I think they portrayed him actually very well in the toy line as well. Colors are all great, and really no big problems with it. It just wasn't there. Like, it wasn't always one of my favorites.
If I would have had this as a kid, I would have definitely pretended it was Street Hawk, especially with that little decal in the front. Because I love that show, but it definitely has that front to it. Like that. Anyway, Erik, all you.
So I really liked Vampire. Looking back on it now, Bill, you're very right about mechanically it doesn't. It had a lot of potential for disaster, and for some reason I think mine just managed to dodge that. One, like you said, Jason, the missiles go missing very quickly, but that's true for any boy's toy. I mean, let's all just accept that if it can come off, it can get lost.
Exactly.
So, that's the price you pay for having toys from the 80s that shot things across the room, and I'll take it over, the child-proofed world that we live in now. I love the color scheme and the paint job, and I always felt like Floyd had a bit more detail to his character, the figure, the actual toy. So I really liked that. I don't know. I loved the motorcycles. The motorcycles were, as much as you say you like the cars, like I was always for the motorcycles. Piranha, Condor, Vampire, Bandit, Barracuda / Jackal kind of fell into that realm. Whatever. The green little four-wheeler that you could take out of Detonator. I think I liked that more than when it was a VW Bug. So. I don't know. I really liked the motorcycles, and to me, because Condor was my favorite, Vampire was always such a natural toy to play with it, because it was the other bad guy motorcycle that could fly. So by association, I think I got a lot of enjoyment out of it. One particular thing, though, is that the pieces that fold down over the front of the cannons, and it's happening on Jason's a little bit, that mechanism tended to wear down, and over time they would fold less and less tightly, and then they would kind of peak up. And that was one thing that I did remember happening, and that one was always a little frustrating. But
yeah, it's that way on mine too. And yeah, these little things is what he's talking about. It's just the mechanism. Yeah. It is hard to find one that has a really, really good mechanism on there. I've actually tried to fix a few of them back when I was selling a lot of M.A.S.K stuff on eBay and had a vast collection. But you can mess with it and pop it back in place and try to get that mechanism to stay down a little bit more. But it as long as it hides the missiles a little bit, I think pretty cool. But the wings, like Bill said, it is hard too. The wings, those tabs will get broken off of those as well. So, well, let's go on to our next commercial. And our next commercial featured vampire and slingshot. So we will we'll talk about slingshot now. This was the white. I can't remember what they called it on the box, like a
Recreational
RV.
van.
Yeah, recreational van that has the hidden jet inside with it's Ace Riker, I believe.
Or striker, depending on.
He's in the commercial, I believe, talking to Matt Tracker. Let's see whose turn is it?
It's your turn.
It's my turn.
It is.
Do
okay. The biggest, and I didn't have slingshot as a kid. It's just within the last couple years that I've been collecting that I got it. Obviously, the biggest problem with the thing is the freaking doors will not stay shut on most of them.
Nope.
And if you have one that does, they'll eventually start doing this number, and you're like, what's going on here? Why is my van not staying shut? I have tore apart dozens of these trying to fix the mechanism. It is a hard fix, and there's little gears and pieces in there that will wear over time. There's just no way around it. Mine actually does work. When it does work, you push in the little button on the back, and it flies open, and then there's another button to launch the little platform here, which is a really cool feature. And if you look at it in the commercial, it's really cool to. It's like a wow factor to me. Would be as a kid. But you know, the one problem I think I have with mine is when you put the jet back in, you have to hold the wings closed like this, and then you push it down, and the wings are supposed to stay shut. And I think part of the problem why the door's open too is that mechanism goes, and then your wings start coming out and pushing on the van doors. So there's a couple different issues with slingshot as a toy when you're playing with, but it's a semi.
Jason,
yeah.
If I can interrupt you, my brother
Sure.
who is watching us talk just sent me a message saying yours never closed either. And he's correct. I had a piece of Scotch tape that lived across the top of my slingshot as a kid. So
Yeah, and I'm sure if you're going to go out and get one, there's probably lots of Scotch tape marks on on your van. It does have a couple cool features. It has these rotating guns that come out the front. You can put your ace guy right there, or one of the other mask figures you have to shoot. It is more of a mobile, stationary vehicle, except for the jet, of course. And I never quite understood why we needed the mechanism where you turn the wheels and the thing rotates. I guess depending on where you need to launch the jet. I always thought it was kind of weird though. If you had it turned backwards and you got one of your dudes up front, he's going to get the full exhaust of the jet right in the back of the head.
Maybe that's why Bruno changed jobs.
But once you take the jet off, and there's another spot here where you can put a figure, and this becomes a gun basically. I might be missing a part that swivels there around. I can't remember. Missing something else. But the jet
helmet
itself, possibly. The jet itself is, probably the best thing of the toy. You've got this little missile on the back that you can drop on unexpected venom agents, and that was really cool. The cockpit opens up. If you're going out to get this, this is another piece that is frequently broken. The the tab that holds the cockpit on. You want to be mindful of that. But before I just go talk about everything, let's throw it over to Bill.
I think everybody else's, mine never stayed closed. I think I use masking tape so it didn't leave as much residue. I mean, obviously with the clear tape you're going to have a presentation, but the effort to keep it as preserved as it could be, I did it that way. And I always thought that it was a kind of like a little mobile base, not to the level of Outlaw, but it definitely could be utilized that way. And as you said, if you have the thing turned around and the jet flies off, well, that guy's dead. So it is what it is, and it was also a very, very highly targeted piece of plastic that was used down in Argentina. Basically, almost all the stuff down there came from the slingshot. They really utilized everything they could.
Didn't they release? They had like the jet on a card back and a bubble front.
Yeah, I mean,
You got one?
yeah.
Well, of course he
Oh,
does.
wow. Knew you had some of the Argentina figures. But it's like a different color too, isn't it? Like yellow or something?
So if it bubbles off, I just have it up there for display. I have some masking tape on it so it wouldn't pull the cardboard. So basically, I give you a side view without some glare.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, weird.
Basically, you can see it's just the base of slingshot in this plastic thing here.
Much more military.
Yeah.
Yeah, and both, like a lot of these ones are. It's just very, very strange. So yeah, basically a lot of the stuff I found, like the jets are there. You can buy the 2 jets. Erik and I were talking about it earlier.
Mm-hmm.
They painted it black, and one of them's just the red color with Ace Riker or Sly Rax in it. I always found that fascinating, but that's another day. But Ace Riker himself, he was always one of my favorite characters because he's out there, flying jets and things like that. And I really liked him once he got to the 3rd series when he got the Meteor. But this character, can't even remember how many episodes he was in. It wasn't many, and I just I always liked it. Driving around in a minivan and turning it out and fly my jet somewhere. So
I wish
overall,
mine did that.
Overall, it's not one of my favorites, but it's middle of the pack, I would say, a little bit higher.
Okay, Erik.
I mean, you guys covered the mechanical difficulties of it. For some reason, it never bothered me as a kid that I really enjoyed playing with a van. So again, looking back now, I'm like, why a van should not have been super cool, but whatever. I kind of mentioned briefly that his name is Ace Riker, but it was also referenced as Ace Striker, and there was some problems with that. And then the other ones from this series that we skipped over, which was Hurricane, which was originally introduced as Night Stalker. Right. So I just thought I would mention that there's a couple of naming irregularities in M.A.S.K. So I mean, Hurricane obviously was the name that they continued to use, and it's the name on the toy. So that one's pretty obvious. But like Bill said, Ace didn't show up all that often, so I don't even really remember if Riker or Striker, which one is maybe would be considered the final official version. But
Yeah,
I actually always liked the rotating turreting effect from the van that you were kind of complaining about, Jason. I thought that was cool. and I really liked the ratchet noise that it made as it turned.
Yeah, I was just. This is a great. It's like the noise that jackhammer makes when you're shooting, when you're moving it forward and shooting the guns. But
Yeah, exactly. There it is. It's pretty satisfying.
Wyatt, you got a? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say that's about it for me. You guys covered a lot of the good stuff there. So if Wyatt wants to chime in, I'm happy to send it to him.
The only chime in I can say, really, you've covered quite extensively, especially like the mechanics and such. Looking at your guys' video demonstrations as well as the box art, I like is it Ace Riker? His mask, Ricochet. It looks like like they were trying to mimic Aura a little bit, or maybe
I can see that.
perhaps maybe I'm trying to think of his name. Stiletto, the Stiletto mask,
Yeah.
the little
Sly.
like Sly Rax's Stiletto mask, the hoses, the air hoses on the bottom there.
Yeah.
Looks like they were trying to mimic that. But I like his cool jacket. Looks like he was ready for like winter travel. It looks like a winter coat right there. But this would be cool. I wish this, like I said earlier, I wish this would come in my minivan. Little jet. I can get to work a lot quicker. Nonetheless, this is kind of cool. I wouldn't call it my favorite, especially hearing the mechanical flaws that you guys were having, especially with the doors collapsing or staying closed, rather. But it's not one of my favorites. I'd probably call it like Bill did and call it the middle of the road as far as a choice.
Just a couple other quick notes too. I've seen many that the tail wing, tail fin, whatever you want to call it on the jet, it can become loose and actually break off. So be careful about that. And I do like the color scheme of this. It's very interesting. You can see my stickers are jacked up, but from moving these wings in back and forth, that's where you get some of the decal peel back and stuff. And on the van itself has some decals on the inside that I have often not seen when buying in lots and stuff and trying to trying to complete sets. So it's pretty cool, the decals. But yeah, I'm more middle to the lower end on the whole setup. But we got one more commercial to watch, and that involved Hurricane, Outlaw, and Raven. I thought it was interesting in one of the other commercials, it showed Raven actually exiting Boulder Hill when they're showing like the quote-unquote live-action part of the commercial, but Raven wasn't in the commercial at all. It was just made a quick appearance. But Raven is the Corvette that turns into the seaplane and comes with Calhoun Burns. Whose turn is it? Is it Eric's?
I can start.
I think it's your turn to start.
Sure. Raven. I think Raven is one of the. It may not be the coolest vehicle of the series, but I think that it might be one of the best, if not the best, mechanically engineered. Because I have never really run into any problems with that vehicle, and it's got some intense moving parts. It's got the front end that flips over, and then it's also got the disc launcher part, or whatever you want to call it. And I mean, those discs fly like everything else. They really zip out. I always really liked Raven. It was an easy one to kind of get working. For some reason, I always really liked the seatbelts in it. And if I recall correctly, the interior is orange, so there's orange again.
It's kind of a reddish orange.
Okay. One thing that I always remembered was that Calhoun has like chicken legs.
He's got to fit in this freaking car, man. It's like,
Right. And so it's a little bit, he was always a little tricky to stand up, and his mask, once you put the mask on, it was like he was just this big head that tapered down to these teeny little feet.
Yeah, he looks like an alien.
Yeah. But overall, I really liked it. I think they could have accented or made the accents on the vehicle a little bigger to sort of pop the color, because I think it can look a little plain. But overall, I think it's more fun to play with than it is to look at. Is my final verdict for Raven and Calhoun Burns.
Wyatt?
Bill or Wyatt or whoever?
I think we actually skipped Bill.
Did we skip Bill? I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
No, go ahead, Bill.
I just watched the commercial a couple of times. So I don't remember in the cartoon fully. Did Raven fly or was it in water?
Both.
Okay.
I think there was a couple episodes where he was in the water, and then I think there might have been one that he just basically was a jet.
Okay. I was going to have a very serious problem with this commercial from 1986 then.
If you look at the box art, Bill, it's Raven's not in the water; it's flying over the wave.
This is all desert here, so I don't know what they're doing. But Raven, for me, I always like Calhoun. Like you guys were saying though about like his legs, they were like really, really thin. I always found that weird. But I'm always partial to orange on anything. It's my favorite color. And then having the kind of the royal blue go with it on his costume. It was always one of my favorite ones. Didn't have a lot of like flair to it, but it did kind of like stick with me, like the two different colored blues and then the orange accent on it. As you guys said, it looks like an alien. It all makes sense. I will say that I've never found the discs for this. I think I might have one, but I think it came with what, 3 or 5 or something like that. They're so hard to find because you just shot them everywhere, and like you were saying earlier, you drop a bomb somewhere, that's lost. Same thing with discs, you shoot them somewhere. Even though they're bright orange, they're gone forever. So, yeah, I was one of the lucky ones that kind of kept up with that. But it was, the mechanism of it all changing, and still having the ability to shoot out of the front there. It was very well designed. Seatbelts bothered me. It was gotten on my same thing in Thunderhawk and Manta. And whatever else had a seatbelt. That's all I can add to that for you guys.
All right, Wyatt?
Well, I think if you could have had one of these growing up, I'm talking real life because I know you were a Corvette fan. I think you would have been salivating there, dude. Nonetheless, that's another mean vehicle that M.A.S.K or Kenner came up with. I'm very impressed by what it does. I'm watching your up close and personal shot there, Jason, as you twirl it around. That's a pretty impressive vehicle. I don't recall it on the cartoon yet.
Yeah.
But it looks like it's got mean for the arsenal. I can't see the figure too well. Calhoun Burns. His name alone tells me he must be a cousin to Dusty. Just speculating there.
Didn't he have a British accent? I can't remember. Australian,
I don't
maybe?
remember this one.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so. Okay, maybe I'm imagining it.
Even talking.
Yeah, I don't really remember too much of
Yeah,
the character in the show.
But nonetheless, that's a pretty cool vet, and I know that Face would have never wrecked his Corvette had he had this one. All on you, dude.
Okay. It's great. Obviously, I'm a Corvette person, so obviously I'm going to love it. But the little, guns on the wheels that we had on Stinger / Scorpion are on here too. I never understood why you had them on the back, because once they're down, what are you shooting? Into the water?
Yeah.
Maybe if you're up in the air, I mean, that's kind of cool. You can use those as like, undercarriage guns.
Jason? Because it's cheaper to make one kind of wheel instead of two.
Right. I understand that. But yeah, I mean, what I like about it is it doesn't have it's got the clear windshield, but the side doors, it's like almost like it's supposed to be tinted. So you don't know if he's in there or not. But probably 95% of the time he's not in there because it's so freaking hard to get him in there and strap him in with the seatbelt. But I mean, it's a cool feature though to have seatbelts. Even in Thunderhawk, I'm not really big into the seatbelts. It's just so hard to get around the figure and get it strapped in. But it's cool that it has seatbelts. That's really cool. And then, like you said, Eric, the clunking sound you get when you transform the hood with this, super pursuit mode button that's on the side.
Yep.
That's a nice clunking sound as a kid, and all the time, several years that I've come across these, I can't remember one that didn't work. Maybe you guys have, but I've always had them that worked, that flipped, and that mechanism was fine. And just for people who are looking to get one too, you've got these two discs that fit in the front, and how you basically load it. You use the little button underneath the license plate to cock it, essentially, and then you got this button right on the top between the doors to shoot the disc out, and it's just like a gun almost when you're a kid.
Or an adult.
Yeah. Or an adult, yes, as you can see. But the mechanism and the design is awesome, and like I said, my experiences have been pretty durable. And I love the decals. The decals on the side of the doors match more the figure than anything. They're that bright colors. The figure never really, Calhoun, and his the whole design of his suit never really matched to me, to the vehicle. But maybe that's what made it cool, because the vehicle is mainly all black. You do have a cool design, and if you're going to get one of these, I've seen a lot of these that have worn the decals that are on the side, so you want to look at that pretty closely, because like I'm handling it, those will wear off. But essentially it is all black, and to have a person driving with a dark, like navy blue and then bright orange, it's an interesting combo. But, well, guys, have we gotten through them all? I think we have.
That's all 8.
That was pretty. Let's run over. Well, we still got a little bit of time left. Let's go look and see what happened with our poll, and we did get a couple comments. Of course, everybody here voted. I'm sure.
I did.
Well, thank you. I just hit refresh. Looks like our big winner, as far as I just asked to choose which were your favorites, and you could vote for all of them if you wanted to. We had.
Wait, let me guess though. Let me guess. Hurricane.
Okay. No. It didn't. It actually came in second. We had 187 total votes, which was really cool. 41 of those went to Raven. Raven was the #1 choice for your favorite Series 2 vehicle. And then that was at 22%. Your second favorite was Hurricane at 19%. And then after that, you have Stinger at 16. You had Outlaw and Volcano were close, surprisingly, 11 and 10%. And then Firefly was 9%, Vampire 8%, and Slingshot only 5%. So Slingshot got the least amount of votes. And I know I think I voted for Hurricane, Raven, Outlaw, and Stinger, I think was my votes. What did you guys vote as far as your favorites out of these? Bill?
I went with Raven, Hurricane, and Firefly, just for the nostalgic value. That one's for me. That was one of the. Was probably one of the few people that voted for it. So yeah.
Erik, who did you vote for?
I voted for 2 or 3, and I can't remember. I know I voted for Hurricane, and I know I didn't vote for Volcano or Firefly. I think I want to say I voted for. I think I probably voted for Hurricane, Outlaw, and Raven. I mean, that's what I would vote for right now. So, I'll say that's what my vote was, but I couldn't tell you for sure.
And Wyatt?
Well, I picked 4. I picked Firefly, Hurricane, Stinger, and Vampire. That's what I voted on here.
Cool. We did have a couple comments.
Yeah, we have one from our buddy over across the pond, William Scott. He says, "You are asking which is our favorite. Seriously? That's like asking someone with more than one child which is their favorite." They are all great. I think for me, being a fan of the UK comic, when these new vehicles and characters were introduced, it was great to add them to the storylines. It does seem strange they always seemed to introduce more masked vehicles than Venom vehicles with each set they introduced. Always seemed a bit unfair on Miles Mayhem and his cohorts. Although I didn't really collect the toys, Reese has 4 of these. Luckily, Santa managed to get him some. He has Firefly, Stinger, Raven, and Slingshot, as well as Rhino from the first series.
Cool. So it sounds like he's doing what I did, and when I went back and started putting this whole collection together, wasn't just for selfish reasons with
Sure.
boys in the house. No, I'm serious. Because I will get them out every once in a while when they ask for them. Maybe 2 or 3 at a time. But yeah, go ahead, Erik.
Something I kind of wanted to add or notice is that Series 2 seems to be one of the easiest to get a hold of nowadays in terms of like how many are out there and maybe the cost per vehicle. I don't know. To me, I've had a lot more trouble getting my hands on, like, say, Series 1, which is the first one, or obviously in America, split seconds are kind of tough to get a hold of. For some reason, it's always been very easy, and like if I ever go to a flea market or a swap meet or whatever, and I see like a random mask thing, it's always from Series 2. I don't know. I'm wondering if the production numbers were a little higher for Series 2 once M.A.S.K had started to maybe do really well, but before they had shot themselves in the foot with the racing series.
Well, the toys that's debatable, I guess, but I see where you're coming from as far as being able to collect them and stuff too. It is harder and more expensive to get your hands on all the Series 1 vehicles, and then some of the racing series like Goliath, that's pretty expensive, especially if you're talking boxes too. And then obviously Split Seconds is probably the most valuable out of the 4 toy lines. So yeah, I mean, like I said, Vampire was one of the ones that I tried to get first just because it was so cheap. So I can understand where you're coming from there. There was one more little comment here from Vaughn Baskin that will. Hi. Yeah, well, he says personally, I like them all. So I mean, that was. I figured there might be some people that actually voted for them all because they're just into M.A.S.K so much. So that was the two comments that we got from the poll. We got anything on the blog? Did we want it?
No, that's what I was reading from.
Okay. Let's just quickly go. We're coming back, basically looking at this storyline as a whole. I guess we kind of talked about our favorites that we voted for and our kind of least favorites. Did y'all notice any maybe improvements or differences from the actual cartoon series itself? Just throw that out there to anyone.
I'm gonna have to defer to the collectors because I got nothing.
I mean, we already spoke about that. Hondo never wears his Blaster 2 fatigues ever.
Right.
That's probably one of the biggest, inconsistencies there. When he drives Hurricane, he drives it in his regular old green, olive drab, shirt, and he just has the new mask, which does the same thing as the old mask, and he didn't lose the old mask, so why did he need a new mask?
It got uglier. I'm sorry.
Oh, one thing I did want to mention while you were talking about that originally was the people over at I believe it's over at Retro Blasting. They put up a video up on YouTube. I think it's called "The Problems with Hondo" or something to that effect.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
It's a pretty great video, and they discuss, hey, Hurricane was in the intro. Why did it take them 29 episodes to debut that? And then the whole differences with his get-up and masks and stuff. It's really cool if you'll go over. At one point, I liked it or put it up on the Facebook page, but check out Retro Blasting. And I think it's just called "The Problems with Hondo," but that's a pretty cool video to check out. And yeah, I haven't gone back and watched the entire series, in its entirety. So the only thing else I would add to that would be the scorpion type shell that we talked about that Stinger has in the cartoon that was never, translated over to the toys. But anybody else have anything on that?
No, that's
I'll
about
take that
it
as a
for
no.
me.
Well, that's. I think that's going to about wrap it up, guys. I did want to mention that our next podcast, we're going to go back into the series and do another episode review, which will be on episode 33, Caesar's Sword. And this one is Venom Agent Slyrax poses as the ghost of Julius Caesar to scare off a team of archaeologists who have uncovered Caesar's long-lost sword of victory. So we're getting back into the mystical realm there, Wyatt, since the last couple were more what I would call practical, trying to erase money.
Right. I'm wondering if we're still going to get the mountain range in view like we always get in the intros.
I think that's 4 episodes in a row we've descended on a mountain to start the episode, so it's been
You'd almost think we were cutting and splicing that little piece in.
Yeah, right. But we'll go ahead and end the show, and again, we invite everyone to interact with us prior to each podcast by going to agentsofmask.com and clicking on the assignment link in the right-hand column. I do want to thank Erik from BoulderHill.net for joining us. Erik, you got anything else you want to add? Something maybe going on over there on your website in the future, near future?
Nothing special, just the same old, just trying to find time to put up pictures or whatever. I mean, I got stuff that's been sitting for an embarrassingly long time. I gotta get pictures of that bulldog that I reassembled up. So those are probably in the near future. Otherwise, if you like Mask, swing on by.
Cool. Well, thanks for joining us, and thanks again to Bill from MattTracker.com. Bill, you got any final thoughts, words? Anything coming up over there on your site?
Well, slowly going through and revamping some of the toy pictures and information and things like that. Getting there slow and steady, but I gotta try to find time. And I'm toying around with an idea to do something with my cousin. I won't go into too much detail yet, but it'll be a funny kind of review of the M.A.S.K toys from the perspective of him, but I'm not gonna. That's where I'm gonna leave it.
Okay.
We're gonna try it out, see what happens. If you like it, we'll post it. If not, then this will be the only time you'll ever hear of it. So.
I also want to plug Erik's podcast, the Cartoon Express podcast. Very fun. He's on there with his brothers, and you up to 20 yet? I can't remember what number you're on.
About 15.
15. Okay.
I mean, we got another one be up on Monday, and it's rainbow bright, so whatever.
Wow.
Hey, if you're gonna be appealing to everybody, you gotta maybe go through some.
That's what I said.
Care Bears and She-Ra and yeah.
I
Why
like
not?
all of those.
It would be fun. I think it would actually be fun to review one of those that you've never seen before.
Yeah.
Or at least you wouldn't want to admit publicly that you've seen it before.
I got no shame left.
Well, that's a fun listen. I believe the website is cartoonexpress.net.
That's right. Thank you.
Okay. So go check that out and add it to your list of podcast feeds. And, of course, thank you to my buddy Wyatt for tagging along as usual.
You are very welcome. And we've had a great time here chatting with the A-team of M.A.S.K. We'll call ourselves for now. Again, I want to personally thank everyone, Erik, Bill, for joining us on another special MASKast. Hopefully we'll be grabbing you guys again in the near future. Maybe if we can get an interview with another voice actor, maybe we can have you guys in. Sorry? Yeah, I know. So we'll see. We don't know what the future holds. I'm sure Jason has someone in his back pocket that he's stringing along and surprising us.
I don't know about stringing along, but I have sent messages. Let's put it that way. We'll see. We'll keep our fingers crossed and see if maybe we can get another one this year. This has been a really fun episode, and I probably can't put it above the Doug Stone interview for obvious reasons. But I'm really digging this new, Google Hangout and being able to simulcast up on YouTube and stuff. So I definitely see us using this a lot more in the future, and I know Bill and Erik will be along for the ride as well. As it'd be fun to get a couple of our buddies across the pond there to get on with us and set up a time, maybe as we get closer to Mask Day this year or something like that.
Right.
It would be really fun to do a real round table, and Wyatt and I can get in talking movie script stuff maybe with Scott. That would be fun as well, just to kind of compare our stories and stuff. But anyway, yeah, it's been a fun episode. You want to take us home, Wyatt?
Yeah, again, thank you, gents, for joining us, and thank you all the listeners and viewers if you're actually watching us, or at least a couple of us on screen. Again, we look forward to hearing from you. Keep the comments coming in even long after the show. And until the next time, thanks for joining MASKast.